Hey there, Jason from Lightmare here with a bit more of a beginner-friendly video on Infinity Wars Classic. A lot of our content recently has been for our active players and devoted fans, so this is a video that's not for you, but instead for your friends, so you can share this game that you really enjoy with them and see if they might enjoy it too. So first off, Infinity Wars Classic is a simultaneous, turn-based trading card game where you have access to every single card just by making an account. So you don't need to worry about pay to win whatsoever or being stomped on by veterans who just have cards you can't afford. Simultaneous turns means that while you're taking your turn, your opponent is taking their turn at the same time and everything resolves at once when everything is locked in. This leads to a whole new level of strategic depth and potential as you try to outmaneuver, outplay and outsmart your opponent in a way that you've never experienced before. To jump into a match, you'll need a 40 card deck and 3 commanders. Each commander that you choose sets 1 purity of your deck, and you'll need a certain amount of purity to add certain cards to your deck. We're just going to jump directly into a game with this deck, consisting of 2 Genesis Industries and 1 Warpath purity levels. Our opponent will be using 2 Cult of Roar and 1 Exile's purity. Each faction has specific strengths and weaknesses, and it's up to you to combine these into a powerful deck, either doubling down on a specific playstyle or going for adaptability and variety. Let's jump into a game with our opponent. So this is the battlefield. You can see down here our command zone, which is where our 3 commanders start, our support zone here at the very back, and our defense and offense zones, or assault zones, left and right respectively. Just like most other card games, whenever you start off with a single resource, and at the end of each turn, you refresh your resources and gain 1 extra maximum resource. You play these cards and abilities to spend those resources, but you also have activated abilities and stuff that you have access to. We're going to go ahead and activate Aletta, a Mortal Tinkerer, which allows us to exhaust the card, meaning it can't participate in battle, and then target artificial character gains a small buff. Thankfully, this guy is an artificial. So on turn 1, we can apply a little buff to this guy, and we're already on a good start. You also draw a card at the end of every turn, which is pretty standard. Now, we don't really have too many interesting plays here, so we're just going to double down on buffing this guy, and this support drone will also allow us to buff something that isn't an artificial. I'm going to start buffing this Armored Landcrawler. Now, the Thunder Apprentice here is a tricky card, because every single time it hits our fortress, they gain a lightning blast, which is really annoying. The more of those that they have, the worse it's going to be for us. So our play here is, let's throw down a buff onto the support drone and move him into the assault zone. Unless something crazy happens, Rock Chucker is going to destroy him, Rock Chucker is going to do 4 damage to him, but thanks to the 3/3 buff, he's going to be a 5/5 unit, meaning that Rock Chucker is going to die, and then Thunder Apprentice is also going to trade into support drone, which is a 2-for-1 trade. And with our other 2 resources, we can also play out another Splitter Light Bulb. So thankfully we did go for a 2-for-1 trade, but they also managed to still attack us with this guy at the end. Not a huge deal, but something that we should keep an eye on. Caretaker of the Young is great for getting more beasts out. Not something we necessarily need right now though. What are our other options? Well, you can always just buff things. It's a great way to start. And because our opponent is going heavy on the attack, we can most likely attack here and get some free damage in ourselves that they're probably not going to respond to. They might, but who knows. We can also play out Drop Bear. Because they have haste, they can go to any zone, other than of course the command zone, the same turn that they're played, meaning if I play them now, they can attack on the very same turn. They also have haste, pay 3 and rage 8, which gives them +8/+8 to their stats. You can only use this ability once, but it's a great little ability to make them just a little bit more powerful next turn. And with our final turn, we're going to recycle this support drone back into our deck. It also allows us to draw another card, which is great for just keeping our hands stacked with new and exciting options. So our splitter bot, which started as I think a 2-2 or a 4-4, is now at 13-13, looking very strong for themselves. Mechanize is a great card because now we can make this guy an artificial, meaning that we can start throwing down a letter buffs onto him. But first off, I want to play out a mechanism, which is going to buff things in the support zone, and Caretaker of the Young. The idea here is that we can start using Caretaker of the Young to create more characters, and these are all going to get buffed up by Mechanism. With the other two resources this turn, let's just do another... hold on. Let's start the buffs on our Armored Land instead. So we make sure that Mechanize goes off first, because that turns them into an artificial card. And then after that, a letter triggers and also goes off, landing on here. Something to quickly mention here as well is Initiative. This little yellow icon down here that swaps between each player is the initiative. Whoever has initiative, their effects resolve first. So now if we end this turn, we can see that my buffs are going to go off. Mechanized, and we increase the power, and then their ability is going to go off. That lightning blast doing 8 damage to us, which is quite a bit. Gotta be careful. Also, I forgot to move my drop bear into the defense zone, or the support zone, sorry, and now it's dead. I didn't get a whole lot of value out of that, which is upsetting, but that's a misplay. Those happen. So if we play out Armored Land Crawler, we can pay 1 to make another beast, and we can pay 1 here to give him another buff. We can throw these 2 little robots out here just to absorb a little bit of extra damage to keep our health a little bit higher. Because we're in a bit of a weak spot at the moment. Okay, all those buffs that we threw down onto that guy basically worthless. Our opponent's doing pretty well here overall. We need to be careful of Raw Death Worshipper, as it's just going to get more and more powerful over time. Tinker is a fantastic card. It's just a small little +1/+1 buff, but it keeps coming back to your hand every time you play it. So now is the time when we actually start to do some good things. First off, we throw out this robot to deal with this guy that has Deadly. Deadly means that if it fights you in combat, it kills you automatically. If that was to fight our Armored Land Crawler, we'd have a real big problem, as all those stats and all those cards we invested into it wouldn't do anything. So we get a Caretaker of the Young, and exhaust this beast token. A letter to buff him. We're also going to use the Trading Post. Now, the Trading Post is a tool that you always have access to. You can pay 3 to shuffle a card back into your deck and draw a new one. You can pay 5 to just draw one, and at 9, you can increase your base resources by 1 permanently. Great for ramping into higher cost cards that you can't necessarily afford when you get to the maximum of 10. We're just going to draw a card. Splitter Light. Okay, we can start buffing that if Armored Land Crawler ever goes down. And that's a death ray coming out. That's unfortunate, because that's just going to instantly kill each guy after all those buffs. And they also targeted Hubris of the Strong, just in case it was immune to kill effects or something. Death Worshipper looking very big already. Mechanism. Alright, let's think about this. First off, if we tinker onto this guy, it's going to survive 2 attacks. Activate this here. Splitter bot comes out. Support drone. We're going to buff Splitter light. Hold on. I just came up with an idea. So instead, we're just going to activate this here. Tinker onto that. And for our last resource, we're just going to recycle the card. Let's see if we can get the Armored Landcrawler back. And that should be everything. Corrupting Magics. Interesting. It's going to get more and more. We do have a plan here though, so we should be fine. Take that one out easily. We do die to that. That's another 8 damage that comes through. Thankfully, Mechanism is still buffing things for us, which is making things a little easier. Alright. 8-6 4-4. Meaning, if we throw this out with a Tinker on it, that'll be 9. So we'll survive that attack. Probably have just canned it run into it, and then Deadly won't hit anything because there's nothing else for it to hit. We've also got this big play where Support Drone comes out. And we target the opponent's Varroa Death Worshipper. That's going to make it 20 attack, which means that we can now use Dragon Collar on it, which just means we take control of a powerful card. And we're just going to steal that. We've also got a Brings Life by Passing to give us an extra resource, and one final Tinker onto the little Timmy bot, who's going to slowly be getting more and more powerful. Move you here as well. That's a pretty complicated turn, but I think we did well. Alright, interesting. So we managed to steal the girl with Dragon Collar, and then Mass Death was played. That's going to kill everything in the assault and defense zones. So we ended up coming out on top of that really strong. We have a huge Varroa Death Worshipper now. Alright. Little Timmy bot. Jump into the assault zone. We'll throw some Tinkers on you. Get another Mechanism going out. We'll attack with her at the end, and also Caretaker of the Young we can use here. With the last 6 resources, pay 5, drawing a card, another Tinker. We can go ahead and use that straight away. Interesting. I don't know if this is meant. Oh! Another Mass Death. Alright, well. These sorts of things do happen. Now, our opponent is 0 cards in hand. And we have a bit of a backup board, and we have a few cards in hand. So, we're actually pretty strongly positioned at the moment. With no artificials, we can't make most of Luca, but that's okay. We can start making more beasts, which is just fine. Throw out a Tinker onto you, and you. Let's also throw an upgrade out onto the Armored Landcrawler. Right, we're going to use the fast forward button here to just speed up through all of these. We know what all these do. Our opponent does a little bit of damage to a ladder, but that's acceptable. Our mechanisms are going off together, meaning that we're getting some massive stat boosts across everything. We're going to throw Armored Landcrawler out to the defense zone, another beast into the offense zone, and just use Tinker to buff these ones. We still don't have any artificials, so we're going to go ahead and pay 5 to draw another card. A Mammoth. Not too bad. Unstoppable means that at the end of the turn, amendment. Unstoppable means that when we attack, if we kill the unit and survive, we then attack the next unit as well, where usually you can only attack one thing per turn. Well, each character, that is, can only attack once per turn. Rabbit comes out. Our opponent did play Secrets of Aurora, meaning that we didn't get a chance to attack that turn, which I think is just fine. Caretaker of the Young is getting really strong thanks to these mechanisms as well. It could end up being a secret finisher if our opponent doesn't have anything strong to play. Rabbit, it's going to come directly into the assault zone, and we're going to throw some tinkers down. This seems like a relatively decent play. Let's see if they have anything to stop this. No mass death this time. I'm going to fast forward through these attacks, bring them down to 46 health. The mechanism goes off again. Alright, fantastic. Rakal is kind of a weak character, but it's one of the ones that I love. He just makes your opponents a little bit weaker when he's on the battlefield. An important thing to note here is that the support zone does not count as part of the battlefield. So when I play him out, he won't be doing anything until the next turn when I move him out to the full battlefield later. So what can we do here? We're going to throw an extra beast into the defense zone just in case. Caretaker of the Young to make more beasts. Mammoth is going to go to the front, and we're going to throw some tinkers down on them. Now, they're at the front because if they defend with 2 units, he's just going to bulldoze past both of them. And then at the very end, Rakal comes out. We'll also play Genesis Spy, just because. I don't think there's any need to hide that in the hand. We'll fast forward through the tinkers. Combat goes through, and he even attacks the command zone as well. Sorry, not the command zone, the fortress. Mechanism goes off again. We're looking really good here. I'm just going to use this to increase our maximum resources, and then throw down 2 tinkers onto the mammoth, and I think that should be everything. Just in case. Do they have a mass death? And it doesn't look like it. Do have Confront the Aether. That does draw them a bunch of cards, but what are they going to do with that? We're just going to bulldoze past all this, and we've brought our opponent's health down to negative 33. Something quickly to note here is that every single card here also has a morale cost. And if you attack your opponent just by killing all of their units, you can actually win by taking their morale down to 0. A little bit more difficult to do, but a great potential alternative win con if you run out of steam on, the main thing that your deck does. So yeah, that's just a friendly little overview of the basics of an Infinity Wars classic game. There's of course a whole lot more to learn regarding the individual factions and how they play and what they do. There's a bunch of extra lore and character to this, to all of this. All of these videos will be coming in the next couple of weeks, so please, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, join us on Discord to hear updates because we are releasing into free-to-play very shortly. Hope you're having a fantastic day, night, whatever time it is. I hope it's a good one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the battlefield, Rifter.